can all agree that between the ages of 11 and 17, those are some of the worst years of all of our lives. Pretty much anything you do, you are going to regret all of that. Those are some really bad years for just being alive. But today, we are going to be looking at some old writings that I did when I was going through some, cringy teen years. Okay, so this one is titled Loki, Your Avenger Life. So it starts off with a description, power. You have wings that change to pure white to black. / you can give people nightmares and make them see their worst fears. / you can turn invisible. It's kind of a strange assortment of different powers we got going on here. You have wings that change color. That's not exactly a power. You can give people nightmares. That pretty much only works when they're asleep, and also why would you want to give people nightmares? I mean, I guess I can see it like if you wanted to get revenge on someone that you don't like. I'm gonna give you a nightmare. Oh no. To me, it seems like a pretty useless superpower, but that's just me. You can make them see their worst fears. Well, I guess that would come more in handy. That's more sort of like a Scarecrow from Batman. Let's start this. You were an orphan and your parents... This is second person. I hate second person. Second person annoys me the most. Why is this second person? I'm just gonna ignore it for now. You were an orphan and your parents gave you up because they thought you were a freak. This is already super just fanfic cliche. Wait, you were an orphan and your parents gave you up because they thought you were a freak. Logic. You were bullied and picked on for being different. Another cliche. You love the outdoors and drawing. At the orphanage, there was a big oak tree that you loved to climb and draw when you got to your special little spot. One day, a man called Nick Fury came in and asked to see you. They told him to go to the oak tree. The end. I did not write anything else after that. It just segues into a completely different story. I remember writing this, and I had it all plotted out that this character joined the Avengers as a superhero, but for some reason, fell in love with Loki when they were trying to fight, and ended up switching sides to help Loki instead. Now this one is also Loki, but it's a completely different storyline, completely different character, everything. You deeply loved Loki. You were a slave girl, a nobody. It was chance he even noticed you. It's off to a good start already. You were fond of observing the young prince from a distance. You quickly fell in love with him, despite him never speaking a word to you. Oh, isn't that just so sweet? You fell in love with him despite him never speaking a word to you. That ain't love. That ain't love, that's infatuation. That's obsession. One afternoon, you were cleaning the library when you noticed him sitting with a book propped on his chest, sound asleep by the window. You cautiously watched him as he slept. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Hypnotized, you gently touched his face. So, you're not just watching him. You are now crossing a boundary. You are touching him. Ooh, when he's asleep, when he is unconscious. This is bad. He woke with a start that made you gasp, his book toppling to the floor. So dramatic. He picked it up, smiling, and asked you for your name. Can you just imagine this scenario like in real life? Let's say you're at like a college, you're just taking a nap on one of the couches there, because you got like an hour in between your classes, you're tired, you don't want to study, you got like an exam, you just want to be left alone. And you wake up to someone touching your face. Someone standing over you and touching your face. Is this the kind of reaction that you think you would have? Would you smile at the person just creepily touching your face as you slept? Someone that you've never spoken a word to. You didn't see him much after that. Something about him changed. Oh no. I guess you would know since you watch him and you observe him so closely. I'm sure you're just like there with your little notebook and you're like, all right. Well, he used to smile all the time and now he's not smiling anymore, so he's changed. His carefree smile had been replaced by something darker. Despite the warnings, you still loved him deeply and vowed never to leave his side. What? I think we're missing something here, because just on this page, on the first page, it's like, you never spoke to him, and then you had one interaction where he asked for your name. And then now, literally the next page over, I don't know how much time has passed, but now it's like, oh, you vowed never to leave his side. You were never on his side to begin with. What is this story? After he fell into the abyss, your heart was shattered. He had loved you once. Had he? I mean, you're telling me, but you're not showing me. I mean, last I checked, he just asked for your name and that was it. Now you're saying he had loved you once. You got any proof of that? You're just telling, you're not showing anything at all. We're just supposed to believe you? You little goddamn liar. He had loved you once, but now it had twisted into a sick obsession. Now, honey, that's what it was from the very beginning. He would throw fits of anger. If you stood in the way, you'd get hurt. Well, that is sick. That's abuse right there. He would neglect himself and yell verbal abuse at you, accusing you of deserting him. But when he was calm, you could see the true Loki, the one you fell in love with. During Ragnarok, he was punished for his actions, bound to a rock while a giant snake dripped venom into his eyes. That's some dark stuff right there. Jeez. I mean, I came up with that myself. I'm actually kind of impressed. I had some imagination. You couldn't leave him to suffer, his screams and pleas piercing your ears. So, basically, there was a huge time jump here. A huge time jump. So the page 1, right here, when he fell into the abyss, that was at the end of the first Thor movie. When we jump over to the second side, during Ragnarok, he was punished for his actions. That was at the end of the first Avengers movie. So there's a big gap going on here. There's a lot of time that we're not getting. We're not seeing the whole picture. You bit back your tears and picked up the bowl to collect the venom. This was your choice, your sacrifice. The end. What is this? You applied for this job? Yeah, I can pick up a bowl and collect venom that's dripping into Loki's eyes when he's screaming and pleading. That's gonna be my sacrifice of love, 'cause I love him. Story doesn't make any sense. Let's move on to the Next story. This one was an original. This is not a fan fiction. Thank God. So this was called Christmas with Zombies. Adriel sat in the back seat of her family's Suburban, bobbing her head to Nirvana heart-shaped box. Her brother Jeff, her 3 sisters Steph, Kat, and Ramon, and her parents were on their way to her grandpa's house for Christmas. This is just my family doing our own Christmas traditions. Like, we always go to Grandpa's house for Christmas. We always drove in my dad's Suburban. And then even the names of the siblings, it's the same number of siblings. And then the names of the siblings are literally, like, start with the same letter as my real siblings. So her brother Jeff, that's Josh. Her 3 sisters Steph, that's Sophie, Kat, Cece, and Ramon, Rachel. And then there's just me. This isn't even fiction. This is just my own life tagged as fiction because you added zombies to it. Where, Desiree, I thought you were creative. Come on. Mom, Adriel's music is too loud. I can hear it from over here, shouted Ramona, the family tattletale. Rachel would hate me because Ramona is Rachel, and Rachel was the family tattletale when she was younger, so. Adriel, Mother said. No reply. Adriel, she said again, a little louder this time. Adriel, she shouted. The small redhead. That's another character trait that Adriel always has, is she's always a redhead, because I always wanted to be a redhead because, dang, redheaded girls, they're hot. The small redhead stopped her head bobbing and finally looked up. What? She said incredulously. Incredulously? You're going to lose your hearing if you keep playing that noise. Turn it down. What? Noise! Adriel shouted. The teen angst is strong in this one. What do you mean noise? This is classic rock. Respect. Just turn it down a little. Adriel opened her mouth to say something, but then closed it, knowing that trying to argue with her mother was pointless. That's also true. My mom, arguing with her, it's a dead end. Whatever. How long will it be before we get there? About 3 hours. Adriel let out a loud sigh. This was going to be a long trip. What a brat! Oh my gosh! Her music is too loud, it's bugging everybody else. Her mom tells her to turn it down, and she's a huge brat about it. Because she's like, it's not noise, it's classic rock, respect Kurt Cobain. He's the love of my life. And then she's just a huge brat about it afterwards. She just lets out a big sigh. She probably is crossing her arms and like pouting while looking out the window. What a brat. I created this character. This character was pretty much me, okay? It was pretty much me, but reading it now, as the author, I am annoyed at this character. I hate this character so much. That should not happen. Let's move on. This is another poem. Right to left, left to right. And it starts all over again. My smile is real, my smile is fake. Can you tell the difference? How could you, when even I can't? Right to left, left to right, and it starts all over again. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What's right to left? What's left to right? What starts all over again?